have been friends with Danny since high school, and he recently moved in with his current girlfriend Lucy. They had a housewarming party on Friday, and Lucy spent most of the night dancing with her own friends who were very much like her. Excitable, extroverted, and dragging Danny away from some conversations with us, his friends, to dance, even though he's more introverted and not a party animal. Later, Danny was quiet, so I asked if he was okay, and he said he was just tired. But he just kept watching Lucy dancing, and then said something in her ear the next time she came over, and she just shook her head and laughed at him. After she returned to her friends, I asked if it bothered him how she behaved, and he asked me to explain. I mentioned the attention-seeking dancing, and the fact that she was wearing something really revealing, even though other guys were at the party. Danny said it didn't bother him, and he sat down with a pouty face. At the end of the night, Lucy sat down with us and started chatting nonstop about how amazing the party had been. I pointed out jokingly that Danny obviously wasn't enjoying himself since he looked miserable. Danny told her I was worried he was jealous because of her outfit. Lucy ruffled his hair, which he hates, and said he was quiet because he loved her outfit so much he couldn't wait for us all to leave so he could drag her to bed. I thought that was completely inappropriate and said to Danny, in that case, I'd leave if she was going to be disgusting. And Lucy just laughed at me. So I did leave. Today, Danny messaged me saying Lucy wants an apology before I'm allowed back at their home. But when asked if Lucy will apologize for making me uncomfortable, he said no, she doesn't have anything to be sorry about. I was generally only worried about my friend. Still, I admit I could have just left without calling her disgusting. Am I the idiot? I didn't say the comment about her clothes directly to Lucy. I asked Danny once, and then never mentioned it again. And she's a create crease. I asked him because I know from past experience, he said anything overly provocative makes him uncomfortable. He's not the kind of guy who makes innuendos or anything. Also, I'm in no way jealous of Lucy. She's the opposite of how I'd want to be, which is fine. People can be who they wish to be. Danny and I already tried dating years ago, but the spark wasn't there, and it was uncomfortable after we tried being intimate, and we both agreed we were better as completely platonic friends. At home, you had to hate on her for it. You are the idiot. Just say you want to date Danny and be done with the jealousy. Also, Danny was uncomfortable because of the way you were acting. You spent all night scoffing at and belittling his girlfriend in their own home. She is nasty and lacks self-awareness. It even added how she isn't jealous and how they tried dating, but it didn't work out. It might be that she wouldn't call what she was feeling jealous, but she sure still feels like she has some ownership over Danny. She doesn't like him, but he can't like anyone else. So other women are inappropriate and don't know he hates it when they mess with his hair. It's not jealousy. It's clearly envy. Up is envious of how Danny has found someone who makes him happy. She wasn't able to make him happy, and she doesn't have a partner that makes her happy. Up is trying to put a wedge between the two, rather than face facts. I'm willing to bet she got broken up with and wants to convince Danny that Lucy isn't right for him. And instead, she does so while trying to conceal her true motives by passing it off as being concerned for a friend. Of course she failed. Then she doubles down, flails in desperation, and in her genius, decides to try her luck with the tried and true task of attempting to convince strangers on the internet that she's concerned for their friend, insulting all of our intelligence. Unsurprisingly, she failed at that too. It's almost as if she wanted her crappy behavior to be validated. Lucy's right in demanding an apology, but if anything, that's generous. She likely is only giving her the option to reconcile, because her boyfriend has known Up for years. Up, you are the idiot and you sound like the epitome of a pick-me girl. And eventually I fell asleep. The next morning, I found out that my screaming cousin had been trying to get my attention because she needed to pee but was too afraid to use my bathroom because someone had turned off the light that was supposed to be left on for them. She saw that I was awake and was trying to ask me for help. But when I didn't answer her, she tried climbing up the ladder to my bed. She fell and ended up dislocating her arm. Everyone wanted to know what had happened and why I didn't help her. I said I didn't hear her because of my headphones. Everyone started ganging up on me, saying that I should have known better than to wear noise-canceling headphones since I babysit. My uncle is the angriest and said I need to learn to use my head. But I babysit older kids, and no one even said I was babysitting. So I don't think it's fair for them to say it's my fault. Not the idiot. I'm really sorry to hear that the blame for this is being placed on you. It must be weighing very heavily on your conscience. But in my opinion, I don't think you are to blame at all. I think you're well within your right to have your own little space while you share your room. Except nearly everyone on Earth would have put on headphones at night in that situation, including those who blame you for it. Who's the person who turned off the light the kids were supposed to have on? Is no one blaming them? Plus, people just can't bounce responsibility for their kids off onto somebody else without even explicitly asking first. It's not like you were asked and given instructions on taking precautions with the kids. Sucks what happened to the little one. But at the end of the day, crap happens. Kids get hurt. And like my granny always said, it'll be gone before their wedding day. I blame the parents. My limit is 5, but not 5 under 5. If you still need to become a parent, that's really too many for anyone. Why can't they squeeze their kids into their rooms? Why did they just decide someone else should watch their children overnight without first asking that person if they were up for watching 5 little kids alone? You are the idiot. How noise-canceling are your headphones that you can't hear a kid screaming? Kids are so loud. It's not your responsibility, and you didn't tell them to climb up. On the other hand, you really should be more attentive to your surroundings. It's not just children. It's fire danger, bad weather, etc. You've already probably damaged your hearing, so turn down your game and get your hearing checked. This update. I told my dad about them all blaming me when he got home, and he told them it wasn't my fault or responsibility. We went out and had dinner, just us. When we got back, my aunts and one uncle were still mad, but I'm just going to ignore them as my defense. Ignore them, as my dad said, because they'll be gone soon anyway. My wife is the oldest in her family by 9 years. She was subjected to being a parent figure to her younger siblings by her parents, who were crappy and uninvolved parents to all 4 of them. The only difference was while my wife was forced to raise herself, she was also forced to raise her siblings, and she struggled with that. Her siblings view her as their mother. She did make sure that they were okay, but once she was 18, she refused to be all they had, and they went into foster care due to their living environment. My wife was forced to drop out of high school at 16 because she found it too much to handle and failed all her classes. At 18, she decided she needed to fight for her own future. This is part of why she made the decision to call CPS instead of raising her siblings. She got her G and she got a degree at a community college. We met while she was in the middle of doing this. She told me all about her childhood and how tough it was for her. She did see her siblings and stayed in their lives. They were sadly separated in foster care. They're now 21, 22, and 24 years old. They also still see my wife as their mother. They were jealous when our children were born, and my wife had to remove them from her life for a couple of years because they were angry at her for being a better mother to our first child than she was to them. Contact has been back for a little over a year now, but they have not really changed. They made my wife feel guilty for pushing them aside instead of working on things, but then they make comment after comment about the effort she goes to for our kids and how she never did that for them, and said it was hurtful to call her son her oldest child when she has them. My wife has told me she doesn't know what to do because their childhoods messed up their perception of her. I told her I would speak to them the next time. So they stopped by Sunday and were saying to my wife they wanted her to get photos done with them and our kids to show she's the mom of all of them, and they're just as much her kids as our children. Thus, I told them to stop. That their sister is not their mom. She's their sister. She was a child just like they were, and they're no longer children, and they need to start treating my wife as their sister and not their mother who owed them a certain childhood. They told me I had no idea what I was talking about and stormed out. This was the first time they had left. My wife looked so relieved, but her siblings gave her a hard time afterward. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You articulated something she wanted to say for a long time in a way the siblings could understand. Good job. They don't like it, but the truth is your wife gave up parts of her childhood to take care of them. Nobody got the childhood they deserved. Hopefully someday they'll understand. Everyone is lost in this situation, and they should realize how lucky they are to have had someone like her around when they did. I wish you guys the best. I agree. Wow, that these 3 adults can't seem to comprehend that their sister is not their mother is mind-boggling. They all obviously need some serious therapy, and your wife needs some distance. Kudos for having her back. if she really wants to have a relationship with them, I'd suggest family therapy, and hopefully her siblings will see things from a different perspective. But that being said, I think your wife may need to be the one to tell them how it truly is. They are not open to the idea of any kind of therapy. I don't know that they're thinking like that. If anything, they might have a negative association with any kind of therapy, as many people do. I've told my wife that, unfortunately, she's not able to fully implement or act on how she feels yet, but I hope she considers it, at least for her own sake. My daughter, Teen, has been begging me to buy her a pet, so I bought her a rabbit a couple of weeks ago. She loves it and takes it everywhere with her. The problem started when she went to her mom's house and took the rabbit with her. Apparently, her half-brother is allergic to it. 2 nights ago, my daughter called me and asked me to bring her back home. Apparently, her mom tried to convince her to return the rabbit because of her brother, and they got into an argument over this when she refused to let her return the rabbit. Her mom asked her to send the rabbit to my home and never bring it back to her home again, and my daughter told her that she'll come to my house to be with her rabbit then. Yesterday, my ex called me and asked me to bring my daughter back. I told her that my daughter has refused to go there without her rabbit. So unless she lets her bring the rabbit, my daughter would stay here. She thinks my daughter and I are both idiots. So am I the idiot for taking my daughter's side?
You are the idiot, not your daughter. You have shared custody, and that means the rules in each house apply to only that house.
You're entitled to keep the rabbit, but you can't force your baby's mom to take in that rabbit. It feels like you enjoy using the rabbit to drive a wedge between the two. Did you even consult or at least give a heads up to the mom? Be an adult. Come on, can we co-parent a little? Having the rabbit at your place is a tiny compromise. Depending on how allergic the brother is, there will be decontamination procedures in place. Giving the co-parent a heads up means that the brother could suffer without understanding why for extended periods. And how hard is it to say, "Hey co-parent, I want to get daughter a rabbit"? What are some rules we should have in place for it? Or the daughter could be an evil genius and ask for a rabbit. And I asked for a rabbit just to take to her mom's because she knew about the allergy and wanted to terrorize her stepbrother and mom and get back to Ope's place. Ope says my daughter's very happy to use the rabbit as an excuse to never return there again. I'm just supporting her decision if that's the case. It's actually very sad that a mom-daughter relationship has reached such a difficult place. I'm a male 24 and have been dating Helen, female 22, for 2 years. We moved in together 2 months ago. This is my parents' old second home. My parents gave it to me when I moved out of the family home 5 years ago. There's just a little problem with the kitchen. There are 2 ovens, one big and one smaller. But the small one works well, but sometimes the big one cuts off the power when it switches off. You just have to turn the power back on the meter. It's not every time, maybe once in 5 times. But to avoid that, I always used the small oven, which was more than enough when I was living alone. It was when Helen moved in, At first we took turns cooking, but she quickly insisted on managing the cooking alone. She thinks my cooking is a bit too basic. Her parents own a restaurant, so I guess she has a higher standard, and she cooks better than me, to be frank. I once suggested that we could cook together sometimes so I could improve, but she doesn't want to because she finds me too messy in the kitchen. I warned her about the big oven and to prioritize the smaller one, or to let me know before using the big one. I like to play Football Manager on my PC before dinner, and it would be a shame to have a power cut at this moment. If she tells me beforehand, I can save my game in case of a cut. A few weeks ago, Helen used the big oven without telling me, and the power went out while I was playing. I gently reminded her to warn me next time, and it's okay, and I had saved a few minutes before, and everyone can forget or mess up. Yesterday, she wanted to make cookies and use the big oven again without telling me. I was playing and I hadn't saved for several in-game weeks. Stupid, I know, so it was lost. I was annoyed and I asked why she didn't warn me. Instead of apologizing, she said aggressively to get over it. And I shouldn't get upset about that stupid game. After all, cooking dinner was much more important. I got angry and answered that she shouldn't disrespect my hobbies like that. And she could just enjoy her important dinner alone, and I stormed off. I went to visit a friend, 24 male, to vent, and I ended up sleeping there. I told my girlfriend by a message that I'll sleep there and that it's best to talk tomorrow. My friend thinks that Helen messed up and is in the wrong.
Just wrong, but this morning I received a text from a friend of Helen calling me a huge idiot.
After reflecting on it, I started to feel bad. Maybe I overreacted or was completely wrong. So am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot. Fix the electrical issue. Save your game and don't complain when someone's making your meals while you're playing games. Instead, apologize for overreacting and not handling conflict appropriately. Don't storm off. She should apologize for not telling you she was using the big oven and for getting angry at you when you pointed it out. You should ask if she's upset that you're gaming while she's doing chores and work out that issue. To be honest, the smaller oven is definitely big enough for most types of cooking. The bigger one is useful if you want to cook many pieces at the same time, like cupcakes or cookies, because of its increased space. I tried to fix the oven in the past, but I'll deal with an electrician when I find the time. I wanted to get an electrician, but I struggled to get one because I admit I have a bad habit of not saving enough. Then you are the idiot. This is a problem I've effectively created by ignoring necessary machine maintenance for the last 5 years. You need to work around that to accommodate me. She's in the kitchen making your dinner while you game, and you're angry that she forgot to ask your permission. Grow up and fix your electrical before your house burns down and you don't have a computer or a girlfriend. And then you storm out of the house over this.